It's 12 o'clock. Now, Victoria at noon and the Lunch Bunch on Victoria's News Authority, CFAX 1070.
Good afternoon and welcome to Victoria at noon. Coming up in the news, a local high school will get its new Marine Institute, a unique program that got the green light at the Saanich School Board last night. Israel could be preparing for a possible ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, and we'll tell you why soda pop and alcohol are a lot alike in one regard. All that's to come, but right now we start with a nasty turn in the Victoria by-election. The campaign office of Liberal candidate Paul Somerville was vandalized this morning. Sergeant Colin Brown with Victoria Police spoke to CTV outside the unit this morning.
Our officers are investigating. We found that there's been some graffiti to the signs, but unfortunately all of the locks around the building have been glued.
That glue kept anybody from getting into the building this morning. A locksmith is coming this afternoon to drill them free. Sergeant Brown says police don't know who committed the vandalism, but at this time they doubt it was a rival political party. Paul Somerville, the candidate himself, has no suspicion that his competition is behind it.
Absolutely confident that none of the candidates know about this.
The by-election candidates were all at a morning all-candidates forum when the vandalism occurred. BC's Privacy and Information Commissioner says Victoria Police must stop sharing license plate data with the RCMP, data collected by cameras mounted on squad cars. Commissioner Elizabeth Denham says sharing that data, the data of non-offenders, with the Mounties is a violation of BC's privacy rights.
ALPR, as it's being used by VicPD and other police forces, is collecting broadly information about the whereabouts and the routine activities of law-abiding citizens for no law enforcement purpose.
Denham does not have jurisdiction over the RCMP, but says her federal counterparts do share her concerns. Meanwhile, Victoria Police, who are the subject of this report, have defended their program and say they only send data to the RCMP for the sole purpose of its destruction. And speaking of Victoria Police, they mentioned a couple of cougar sightings earlier this morning in the area around the Ross Bay Cemetery in Fairfield. There haven't been any follow-up reports after the two this morning, but if you do see a big cat in that area, police would like to hear from you. The Saanich School Board said yes last night to a new Marine Academy at Parkland Secondary School. Vice Chair of the Saanich School Board, Jim Standen, says they approved the Specialty Institute after a presentation from Parkland's principal last night. He says the program will have different areas of study that will directly link in with local industry and local jobs.
An academic stream that, will look at the marine science side of things and obviously has opportunities for linkages with places like the Institute of Ocean Sciences, which is just up the road from the school. There's a trades component that can and will look at things like boat restoration and boat repair, which is a key element of the peninsula economy. We've got lots of boating and yacht maintenance type operations up on the peninsula.
The Parkland Marine program will also offer sail training. They hope to have it up and running by the next school year. Another milestone on the long journey to reopen the Oak Bay Beach Hotel today. Owner Kevin Walker says they should be getting the first hotel guests staying tonight. But they had to make sure they got through their building inspection this morning first.
And we're ready to welcome our first guests tonight, provided we get through the last of our building inspection here this morning. We got about halfway through our inspections yesterday. Hope to get everything else wrapped up by noon today, because we have a lot of people converging on the hotel for an overnight stay here tonight.
And we are just hitting noon now, so we'll check in and see if they did manage to get their inspection approved. The old Oak Bay Beach Hotel was closed 6 years ago and torn down. The construction of the new building has been hampered by repeated delays and the downturn in the economy. Unionized support staff at Camosun College have voted 96% in favor of strike action. CUPE members voted Saturday on the strike mandate, and the results are now out. Camosun support workers have been without a contract since 2010. They say the main issues are a fair wage increase and inflation protection. Now, they're not the only ones in the same boat. There are more than 3,000 support staff workers involved in contract disputes at 6 colleges across BC. One of them is North Island College. Their CUPE members just voted 86% in favor of a strike mandate as well. One of the men found guilty in a sensational contract killing gone awry here on Vancouver Island more than 25 years ago has died behind bars. The Correctional Service of Canada says 65-year-old Gordon Paulieu died of apparent natural causes at Abbotsford Regional Hospital on November 10th. Paulieu, as well as 2 other men, were sentenced on April 26, 1985 for the shooting of Diana Van Duren at her Duncan home a year earlier. A 3-month trial heard the Crown believed the trio had gone to Van Duren's country home to kill her husband, Dennis, over a drug deal, but the plan collapsed and the 57-year-old woman was shot instead. In an unrelated incident, the target of that hit, Dennis Van Duren, was shot to death himself in an altercation with another man in the Cowichan Valley in 2009. BC's child watchdog says more needs to be done to support children in government care who are at risk of suicide. Children's representative Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond examined the cases of 89 young people, 15 of whom committed suicide, and 74 who hurt themselves with self-inflicted wounds. She says 58 of the youths were moved 776 times while in government care, 5 of them more than 30 times each. And she says frequent moves can traumatize vulnerable young people. Turpel-Lafond says such kids need more stability in their lives, and she is recommending the province take action to limit the number of moves and disruptions experienced by children in government care. And a quick look at news elsewhere in the world. Israel could be preparing for the possible ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Troops have begun moving towards Gaza, and the Israeli government has authorized the call-up of reserves. The army says as many as 30,000 troops could be drafted. Meanwhile, an explosion and air raid sirens have been ringing through Tel Aviv. Reporter Alex Marquardt has more from the Gaza Strip.
A rocket from the Gaza Strip landed Thursday night in the Tel Aviv area, Israel's commercial capital, for the first time. It comes after a second day of airstrikes by Israel on the Palestinian enclave and retaliatory rocket fire from Hamas and other militant groups. At least 3 Israelis have been killed and at least 15 Palestinians, 9 of whom were civilians. This Israeli operation, dubbed Pillar of Defense, began Wednesday with Israel's assassination of Hamas's top military commander. Alex Marquardt, ABC News, in the Gaza Strip.
A settlement reached by British petroleum company BP and the U.S. government over the 2010 Gulf oil spill includes a nearly $1.3 billion criminal fine, the largest such penalty in history. In all, BP has agreed to pay $4.5 billion over 5 years and will plead guilty to felony counts related to the deaths of 11 workers and also counts related to lying to Congress. And finally, in health news, a U.S. government study finds adults get as many empty calories from alcohol as they do from soft drinks. The study finds soda and other sweetened drinks are a source of about 6% of the calories an adult consumes on average. Alcoholic beverages account for about 5%. A medical contributor to ABC News, Dr. Jennifer Ashton, says drinkers have to be careful not to overdo it, even if you think what you're drinking is not as calorie-laced as a pop.
Obesity is a big problem in this country, and whether you're putting on those pounds from food or drinks, you have to look at the math at the end of the day, and these numbers tell a very grim picture.
CFAX 1070 News Time is 9 past 12. Sports and weather ahead right after our look at business.